communist parties, where political freedoms were curtailed. I use the term democratic socialism, or democratic socialist, to refer to countries where socialist principles are championed by parties that compete in free and fair elections, and where political rights are maintained. Although many parties refer to themselves as communist, that term denotes the ideal of a society where all economic assets are collectively owned, and the state and law have withered away. In no case has real communism been achieved. And therefore I try to avoid this term when referring to actually existing states. On the topic of semantics, I have also endeavoured to be sensitive to contemporary intersectional vocabularies. For example, when I talk about women in this book, I am primarily referring to cisgender women. The 19th and 20th century socialist woman question did not consider the unique needs of trans women, but I have no desire to exclude or alienate trans women from the current discussion. Similarly, in my discussion of maternity, I do recognize that I am discussing those who are female assigned at birth, FAB. But for the sake of simplicity, I use the word woman, even though this category includes some who identify as men or other genders. Because this is an introductory book, there will be places in the text where I don't go into full detail about the debates surrounding topics, such as universal basic income, UBI, surplus value extraction, or gender-based quotas. In particular, although I believe that they are absolutely essential, I don't spend a lot of time discussing universal single-payer healthcare or free public post-secondary education, because I feel these policies have been discussed at length elsewhere. I hope readers are inspired to explore more about the issues raised within these pages, taking this book as an invitation for further exploration of the intersections of socialism and feminism. I also want to make it clear that this is not a scholarly treatise. Those in search of theoretical frameworks and methodological debates should consult the books I've published with university presses. I also recognize the long and important tradition of Western socialist feminism, although it is not discussed in these pages. I encourage interested readers to refer to the books listed in the suggestions for further reading. For all of the direct quotations and statistical claims made throughout the book, I include consolidated citations in an endnote at the end of the relevant paragraph. Few substantive endnotes accompany this text, so most listeners can feel free to ignore the endnotes unless they have a question about a particular source. General historical material can be found in the suggestions for further reading. When discussing personal anecdotes, I have changed the names and identifying details to preserve anonymity. Finally, with the many social ills plaguing the world today, some might find the chapters on intimate relations a bit too prurient for their taste. Some might think that having better sex is a trivial reason to switch economic systems. But turn on the television, open a magazine or surf the internet, and you will find a world saturated with sex. Capitalism has no problem commodifying sexuality, and even preying on our relationship insecurities to sell us products and services we don't want or need. Neoliberal ideologies persuade us to view our bodies, our attentions, and our affections as things to be bought and sold. I want to turn the tables. To use the discussion of sexuality to expose the shortcomings of unfettered free markets. If we can better understand how the current capitalist system has co-opted and commercialized basic human emotions, we have taken the first step toward rejecting market valuations that purport to quantify our fundamental worth as human beings. The political is personal. Introduction. You might be suffering from capitalism. The argument of this book can be summed up succinctly. Unregulated capitalism is bad for women, and if we adopt some ideas from socialism, women will have better lives. If done properly, socialism leads to economic independence, better labor conditions, better work-family balance, and yes, even better sex. Finding a way into a better future requires learning from the